You ever got to play KD during that time period, or was that like later on? You definitely ran into him. Yeah, you did.
So my second AAU team, I played for the PG Jaguars and KD. So I was 9 and KD was playing 13. Yeah, we're 5 years apart. So I was 8, he was 13. So we played on the same AAU team, but like he was just on the older team. So
Team, yeah.
we spent so much time together. That's when him and his brother and his mom really, honed in on me because I was one of those kids like I love the game. So I would practice our practice, and then I would wait and have my mom like come later so I could watch Katie in the practice. Like I wanted to, watch them practice and really like I didn't care about getting out there yet. I just really wanted to just like watch and like be a student and because those guys like I idolized them. So Kevin always took a liking to me just because our love for the game. Like my mom or my dad, they'll just drop me off at our gym. We had this big gym called Run and Shoot,
Hmm.
and it was like a free fall. Like and just you had the big the pros and you had the college kids and the kids who like had the chance. They all played on the main court, and I literally would just sit there and watch. Like so, I saw Calvin Cage, I saw Steve Francis, I saw all these guys like play, and Kevin, he just stuck out. Just you just knew he had something that was different than everybody. But like we had that love, like we'd be in the gym all day, and he's been my big brother ever since.
And then years later, you in the league playing with him.
Was born in '93, so I was right under like Mike Beasley and Nolan Smith, and they had Chris Wright and all these guys that like idolized Austin Freeman. All the guys that like I idolized, they played for Assault. So like growing up, that was like the premier team. Like you was nice if
Play with DC Assault. Facts.
that was always the dream.
Nah, that's a fact. Beasley tough. I see Beasley always Miami training. Cool dude, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
I ride with Beasley. You went to DeMatha with Oladipo? Were you there at the same time as him?
yeah,
Eh,
yeah.
You stayed 3 seasons, right?
I did 3 years. I did 3 years at DeMatha.
Team, y'all were stacked. Yes. How was that team with y'all? That's crazy.
Like, I mean, PG County's so small, man. Like my first memories of me playing basketball was county, and me, Jared Grant, and Jeremy Grant were on the same team. I
Oh,
was like
that's crazy.
I was like 6, Jared was 7, and Jeremy was 5.
Okay.
Um, so I grew up playing AU with them, and I met Victor. I transferred to this Catholic school, Catholic middle school. I was having some problems like in my neighborhood public school, my local public school. So
Mm.
my dad, he put me in my parents put me in a Catholic school that was right next to DeMatha. And my dad wanted me like to see the vision, like this is where I want you to be at. Because everybody from my middle school end up going to DeMatha or end up going to like a top high school. So
Yeah.
I went there, and like I said, it was Catholic school. Like it was totally different from the school that I was going to before.
Yeah.
And Victor, like my first day there, like I had no friends, I didn't know anybody, and then I recessed. I think I was in the fifth or the sixth, and Victor's a year older than me, and
Mhm.
I didn't have friends, I didn't know anybody, and Vic just came up to me like never met me, never knew me, nothing, and he was just like, bro, like um, basically I'm your guy, like I'm your friend, like I've been here, my whole life. I know all the ins and outs, and I'm gonna look after you. Literally my first day, and then ever since then, fifth grade, me and Vic, we finished elementary and middle school together, and then he went to DeMatha his ninth year. I was still in the eighth,
Mhm.
and he played freshman. Him and Jaron Grant, they played freshman their freshman year, and when I got to DeMatha, I played varsity, so we all kind of played varsity together. So we did 3 years together at DeMatha. Back then, like
Yeah.
you had to see all the players. Like, there's so many AAU teams now, so it's kind of different. Like, you might gotta play on a Nike circuit, so you might not see the guys on Adidas, or you might not see the guys they had Reebok back then. But
Mm.
back then it was like, man, like the best players, you're gonna play for this team or that team, and y'all gotta see each other. You know what I'm saying? And
Fact.
it's just like we all worked out together. So like my trainer was Hanif Hill. So like Hanif will have, all his pros, and then another trainer, Keith Williams, he had all his pros. And like we'll meet up at run and shoot, and they'll just let us rep. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's the only way we get better. Like obviously
Facts.
it's cool to do the drill work, the skills, and get better, day by day with that. But you play against the same dudes every day. You know what I'm saying? You might be the best guy in the gym, you might not get that challenge, but when we was doing that, like you had to see everybody. So like I was young, I'm playing against Taiwan Lawson, like I'm in a I'm in the seventh grade. He's about to go to North Carolina, and he's just killing me. But I need just throwing me back in the jungle, kept throwing me back in the jungle. And I'm like, man, if I am I going against Taiwan Lawson every day, like when I get against guys my age, like you
You gonna
know,
kill him. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So that was like the mentality we had here. So like growing up seeing guys like Taiwan, like Kevin, like KD's, like that's I mean, no kid
Crazy.
had that experience. So
You were McDonald's All-American. Like you had a wild high school career. I don't think you realize how much stuff you did in high school. You played McDonald's, you played in the Elite 24. Oak Hill. Y'all won 30 games. I do remember that.
we lost
Yeah.
30. We lost in the championship and I think it was double overtime and triple
Yeah.
overtime. We probably would have finished like number two. St. Anthony's, they had Miles Mack and Kyle Anderson. They were really good. They didn't lose at all that year, so they was gonna get the national championship, but we lost in the ESPN Rise, whatever ESPN championships, or for us to be number two in the country, and we lost that game. Something I'm still sick about. My good friend Justin Anderson, I hit the free throw to put us up three in the first overtime. He comes down and hits a crazy three, like across his body, ties the game up. They end up beating us in double overtime, and he reminds me about that a lot. So we won 2 gold medals together. Obviously, he's from Virginia, so I remember meeting him when he was in the seventh grade. He's always been a special talent, man. But Justin, he's like one of the best humans you'll ever meet, man. And us bonding, we were in high school, and us playing, in the D League, us playing against each other in the league. Um, he's one of the better guys in it, man. And everything that he's got, he deserves. And obviously, he's on his quest to get back where he belongs. So guys like that, we have that special bond with each other.
I put a lot of work in with Remy like every summer. So seeing him work is dope. Or you play with Steve Smith. This is where he retired and everything. So how was that? First of all, how'd you get to Oak Hill? I don't think I covered that part. So what made you go to Oak Hill?
Obviously, we were younger. Oak Hill was the school,
The
right?
epitome, yeah. And Katie went there too. So yeah.
And Taiwan was there at the same time. And you hear it like I remember watching LeBron play Oak Hill, on TV, when he was a senior. Like that's how far it goes back for me, like being a fan of Oak Hill. Then doing the research, you see this guy went here, you see Steve Blake went there, you see Jerry Stackhouse went there, Rob Strickland, Ron Mercer, like all these guys who I've idolized my entire life. So you start paying attention, right? And then when Kevin went there, his junior year in Taiwan, that's when I really became like an Oak Hill fan. And then the next year, Nolan Smith and Mike Beasley went there. So I going up there with them. I remember I rode with them to drop them off, and you just see all the history. Coach Smith was real nice. He was real cool. You just see all the history. I'm like, man, it's the same guy. I've been watching on TV my whole life. It's crazy. Blah blah blah. So when Nolan was up there, he did 2 years. I would go a lot. Like his mom and my dad, my mom, his mom, they understood like how much of a basketball fan like I was. So anytime his mom would go pick Nolan up, she'll let me ride, and I would like spend the night like on their couch, and like Brandon Jennings went there Nolan's last year. So I got to meet Brandon Jennings. You know how crazy and famous he was in high school. So like it was a dream come true. But like I said, when I went down there for Nolan's graduation, and my dad drove, told my dad, I was like, man, I'm gonna be good enough to go to Oak Hill one day. So had a good freshman year, had a good sophomore year, and I had a big sophomore year AAU wise. And I think Momo Jones was the point guard at Oak Hill, and he was leaving. So Coach, Smith tried to get me my junior year, but I felt like I wanted to finish, with Victor and Jaron at DeMatha, and I really wanted to, make a statement in the city. I didn't want to do 2 years in the city and leave. Kind of wanted to make my, statement here in the city, and then end up having a really good junior year. We won both championships. We finished top 3 in the country, and I won Player of the Year here. First time, a junior has won it in 30 years. Was not WCAC, but All Met Player of the Year. And we had like Kendall Marshall, Victor, Josh Harris there with the Duke with me. Tyler Thornton with the Duke. Markel Starks, one of the best scorers ever here. So I wanted over those guys. Just like I just like needed a new challenge, really. Like, I was getting in trouble here, and not like street stuff, but like
Like
just like
normal shit.
teenage stuff.
Yeah.
My mom and my high school coach Mike Jones just felt I needed a new challenge, man, and so we called Coach Smith, and he signed off on it, and we got it done.
Take me through that McDonald's game. You had it was you, Bradley Beal, AD, Jeff Teague brother, what's his name, Marquise Teague or something like that. Yeah. So how was that? So when you first got the announcement that you're gonna be McDonald's All American, and then when you went, it was in Chicago when you went.
That was the first year they brought it back to Chicago.
Yeah.
After a while, it was great, man, because like I said, like I grew up this big fan, right? And I remember watching my first McDonald's All American game, 2002, with Carmelo, Amari Stoudemire, Bosh, JJ Redick, Sean Dockery. It was in Madison Square Garden. I'm just like, what game is this? And just do your history, you do your homework on it. These are 24 best high school players in the country. Blah blah blah. So like that was the goal. I got to be a McDonald's All American. Then you see Taiwan and Kevin be All Americans in '06, and then we had 4 from PG County in '07. Chris Wright, Austin Freeman. I was in Louisville. I actually went to the game. So that was great. That year, '07 was Blake Griffin, James Harden, Derrick Rose, Eric Gordon, Kevin Love, like Jared Bayless. Like it was
It's,
crazy, crazy stat.
damn.
Green,
Yeah.
Dante Green, my guy who I hoop it every day. He's from Baltimore. He was in the game as well too. So Maryland had 5 representatives that year. But yeah, I mean that's always the goal. Just you want to be a McDonald's All American, and to make it with like Brad, AD, all my guys who I played, against and with my whole time in high school. For us to be there, representing, our families, our cities, our schools was dope. But one thing about our game, I remember it was so much trash talk. Like, Brad and Austin always had this kind of. So, Brad was on the east, Austin was on the west, and Gilchrist, he was like Mike Gilly, he was like always number one. And then here comes AD. He just took over number one spot after, a couple tournaments. So he had that kind of, I'm number one. So
Yeah.
me and T, like we always went at it. Like I remember losing to Moot when I was 9, and like 9, he played with Indy Hoyas. They ended up winning the national championship. Then we played each other the next year, and we beat them in the Final Four. So me and him always had this, like, what I'm saying, this is competitive. I love him like a brother, but when you're on the court,
You gotta
you know,
kill him.
we always want to compete. So it was extremely competitive, and it was fun, man. It was sold out, proud, man, and we had some household names come watch us play, man, and it was great. We ended up winning. And nah, it was fun. It was a great experience for sure.
They still had the same like kind of schedule. Like when you get there, you got to meet with people and
Yeah.
everything. Who came to? Did someone come to speak to you guys like in private? They usually have
And
like some speaker.
not that I remember, but I remember our schedule was just so packed. Like we was
Yeah.
doing stuff all day, like foundation stuff, going to the hospital, actually going to like the main McDonald's and just being with the fans. And we had practice, and then we would have a banquet. Like we had just a lot of stuff. But it was fun, man. Like you said, like you know, you develop these bonds with these players, man. Like, it's like your extended family. And obviously, we're all coming from where we come from. We're the man on our AU teams. We're the man on our high school team. So it's fun to just, man, how you deal with this, man? How you dealing with college? How you picking your college and blah blah blah. So all 24 of us could relate to each other. And no, that was an unbelievable experience, man. Like I never took pictures and stuff growing up, but like that's the first event. I'm like, man, I'm gonna take some pictures. Like I'm gonna really, try to remember this moment, man. And my mom came, my uncle came, my godfather came. So now it was an experience that I still, I'm thankful, that I was a part of that for sure.
Got to compete in that, and then from your McDonald's, great year at Oak Hill, you went to Duke. You chose Duke over UNC. Smart choice. Smart ass choice. Smart choice. Smart choice. So you chose Duke over like UNC. I forgot what other schools you were considering at that time, but I just remember the UNC one vividly.
And, Duke, Carolina, UCLA, Georgetown,
Yes.
and Kansas, and
Oh,
UConn.
you.
So it's really like it was like really 6, but really UConn, UCLA, and was really like the three that I really like. That's what it came down to.
What sold you on Duke, like, on going to Duke?
My brother Nolan, he was there, so
Okay.
he was there for 4 years. He had just won a championship in 2010.
Mhm,
So like anytime like I had any kind of break in school, I was going straight to Duke. Like I was going down to Duke, like, and I was living with Nolan, like just watching him practice, watching him work out.
mhm,
In the summertime, I'd be down there for an extended time. So I had relationships with Gerald Henderson, John Shire, Kyle Singler, like all these guys. And then obviously the coaches who was there, they always, allowed me just to. And then like when I kind of start coming into my own, getting recruited and stuff, like Duke, then Coach K offered me my sophomore year.
mhm,
Um, no, actually my freshman year. That's that summer before I got hurt. And I just had this rapport with them the entire time. And obviously, like, I entertained other schools. Like I wanted to have that whole process of being recruited, going to this visit, that visit, having, all the college coaches come and watch me play and stuff like that, which was cool. But Duke was always like number one in the back of my mind. And I just had that connection with Coach K, man. And he always never promised me, during that time, even now, what am I talking about? Even now, coaches is gonna tell you what you want to hear.
oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
minutes, you gonna go to the da 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 da. Like just giving me all these promises, man. And coach was just like, man, my only promise is that I'm gonna coach you as hard as I can for 4 years. And I'm gonna be your coach on and off the floor. And I lost my dad. So he like stepped in a role like where, when it was, holidays or special days, like he always like would when like obviously there were restrictions with recruiting and stuff, like communication and stuff. It's not like it is now, but anytime like they could communicate, like handwritten letter, a call, like on a special day, stuff like that. And that's what really stuck with me. And like I committed in 2010 and I graduated in 2015 and it's 2024. And there hasn't been a Father's Day Coach K has missed. There hasn't been a Christmas. There hasn't been the anniversary of my dad's passing. There hasn't been a year that Coach K's missed that going to the day. And I just turned 30. So I mean, like
Mm.
he stuck on his promise about just being there and being just, you know, a father figure and a role model for me more than a coach. So like you said, it's I'm so happy I decided to go to Duke for sure. I know from a culture standpoint, I know what how I helped Duke and how I still help them to this day. So
Yeah,
um, they helped me way, way, way more than I helped them. But I
right,
know my legacy there is forever, appreciated just because obviously we winning the natty. We were Coach
right.
K's last natty, but like, you know, we kind of made that transition from one and dones. So
Mm,
like it's hard to win with freshmen just because other teams are so experienced, but those guys do John, Tyus, um, Grayson, and Justice, man, they just were so humble, so giving, so willing to work, and we had some hungry upperclassmen coming back, so it meshed
nice.
together. And the coach had us prepared like no other, man. And I'm so happy we won it, man. It was a great, great, great feeling.
What's like a day to day at Duke though? Like I've always been curious, like how is that with Coach K?
It's tough, man. It's you got your morning stuff you got to do if you got to lift or you got a guy. Are you a guy who gets extra shots up? You got to
Mhm,
get it in the morning. You might got an 8:30 class, or we usually practice later in the day, like 2:30, 3 o'clock, just around because people's schedules are different. But I was always in the gym early. I go to class or I go to study hall, do whatever. And if we had practice at 3, I'm in the facility at 2. Nah, I'm in the facility at 1:30. I always try to make my schedule to where I can get in there early, get treatment, to be a professional.
mhm,
Um, so if we had rules like if we had practice at 3, nobody should be walking in the gym no later than 2:40. Like I know schedules gonna permit itself sometimes, but let's be on time. Let's get a good sweat. Let's get a good lather. So when we get to practice, we don't gotta. Coach K was real big on that, and he left it up to the upperclassmen and the guys playing to set that standard. So like when you're a freshman, I was listening to Seth Curry. I was listening to the Plum Mason and Miles. I was listening to Josh Harrison and Tyler Thornton. So Brian Kelly. So when it was my turn to be that upperclassman, like that was the standard, and it was player enforced. So um, it was fun, man. Practice was always intense, but like we weren't in there like 2 3 hours. Like we were in there an hour 15. We're gonna watch a good amount of film. We in there an hour 15. Sometimes be in there 45, just depending on our schedule. But like coach gonna get after it. Like we're gonna get after it. If we ain't been playing well, he gonna cuss us out. We gonna
Yeah.
like the first team ever, but we playing well, he's gonna be our biggest fan. So it was great give and take. And I think we all kind of just, different teams I was on, like we always had the talent, but sometimes we never could always put it together, from a full season standpoint. Because I was on 2 teams that lost in the first round. Like, and if you like Jabari Parker, like he's the best player in college. Like he has no business losing the first round. Rodney Hood was on that team too, but that season we could just never figure it out. And we ran into a tough Mercer team. My freshman year, we lost to Lehigh, obviously CJ McCollum. That's why March Madness is so fun. You just one and done, and anybody can be beaten. So that's why when teams figure it out, get to the Final Four, have a nice run, win a championship, you got to understand like it's the first to six. So nah, man, it's good to be a part of history. A couple of those new teams.